I was standing outside a hotel room I was never supposed to know existed, room 314, while my husband was texting me that he'd just landed in Chicago. My hand was shaking. My heart was pounding. And inside that room was the truth that was about to burn my entire life to the ground. People love to say if they cheat, you'll see it coming. That's a lie. For 10 years, I thought my marriage was bulletproof, not flashy, not perfect Instagram couple perfect, but solid, quiet, safe, the kind of marriage people envy because it looks boring in a good way. My husband, Mark, was dependable, corporate sales, predictable schedule, predictable moods, predictable love. We weren't dramatic. We weren't toxic. We were comfortable, and comfort is dangerous. Comfort makes you ignore small changes. It teaches you to explain away weird behavior because facing the alternative feels insane. Because admitting the truth would mean admitting your entire reality might be fake. I didn't go looking for proof. I didn't want to be right. But once the cracks start showing, you can't unsee them. Let me take you back 3 months before that hotel hallway. It was a Tuesday, taco night, our thing. Mark was lot again, but I didn't panic. Lot nights came with his job. What didn't come with his job was the energy he walked in with. No kiss hello, no joke, no sorry, traffic sucked. He loosened his tie, went straight to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and said, casually, I've got a work trip next month, Chicago, big finance conference. 4 days. Something in my stomach dropped and I hated myself for feeling it. Okay, I said, stirring the pan. Want me to grab your dry cleaning? No, he snapped, sharp. Instant, like I'd annoyed him, just by existing. He caught himself and saw, sorry babe, I'll handle packing, I need new suits anyway. That was the first crack. Mark hated shopping. I hated it. I had to beg him for 5 years to replace suits with frayed cuffs. And now suddenly, for a basic Chicago conference he attended twice before, he needed a whole new wardrobe. I told myself I was reading into it. I always did. Over the next few weeks, the cracks multiplied. His phone never left his body. Bathroom, phone, shower, phone on the sink, screen down, Netflix, on the couch. The phone rang away like I was a threat. One night, it buzzed at 10:07 p.m. I asked, light and calm, who's texting you so late? Without looking up, he said, Gary, from accounting, merger stuff. Gary was 60. Gary once told us he went to bed before Jeopardy, but I swallowed it. Because confronting him meant opening a door I wasn't ready to walk through. Here's the thing no one warns you about. When someone is lying to you, your body knows before your brain accepts it. And mine was screaming. 2 days before his Chicago trip, I was folding laundry. I grabbed his gym bag and other new habit, by the way, suddenly working out 5 times a week, and something slipped out of the side pocket. A receipt, not for a protein powder, not for sneakers, a receipt for a gold bracelet from a boutique downtown, delicate, expensive. My hands went cold. My birthday wasn't closed. Our anniversary had already passed. I checked my jewelry box like an idiot, half hoping I'd somehow forgotten, owning it. Nothing. That night, I tested him. Casual, control. Did you grab anything fun while you were out today? He looked me dead in the eyes. No pause, no hesitation, no salad. Off, it's a long day. That was the moment my marriage died. Not because of the bracelet, because of how easy the lie was. No nerves, no guilt, just confidence. Like he'd rehearsed it. I realized then something terrifying. If I confronted him without proof, he'd flip it on me. He'd say I was paranoid, insecure, emotional. He'd gaslight me until I apologized for questioning him. And I wasn't going to let that happen. That night, he fell asleep facing away from me. I stared at his back in the dark and asked myself one question that changed everything. What if I stopped being afraid of the truth? I didn't cry. I didn't confront him. I didn't tell a friend. I planned, because if he was lying, I needed undeniable proof. And if he wasn't, then I needed to know I could trust myself again. The next morning, while he was packing that brand new carry-on suitcase, I made a decision that would lead me straight to a hotel room door I was never meant to stand in front of. And I swear to you, once you hear what I hid inside that suitcase, you'll understand why there was no turning back. Because when his Uber pulled out of the driveway the next morning, and I opened an app I'd never thought I'd download in my life. The blue dot didn't move toward the airport, it went somewhere else entirely. The second his Uber disappeared down the street, I locked the door behind him and slid down against it like my legs had just given out. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone twice before I finally opened the app. The blue dot blinked. Active. Connected. Dot. I told myself to breathe. I told myself this was just precaution, that I was being dramatic, that in 5 minutes I'd laugh at myself when the dot hit the airport. Dot. It didn't. Moved. But not north. I watched it crawl down the map, slow and steady, like it knew exactly where it was going. I zoomed out, then back in, then out again, hoping I was reading it wrong. Exit 42 was the airport exit. The dot passed it. My stomach flipped so hard I thought I might throw up. I whispered to myself, Mr. Uber drivers mess up all the time. Exit 45, past Dan 47 now. He was heading toward the coast, toward the resort district, toward the part of town you go to when you're not doing business, when you're escaping. I felt something snap inside me. Not sadness, not tears. Focused. I texted him, did you make it through security okay? 3 minutes past 5. Then my phone buzzed. Yeah, boarding now. Love you. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. He was lying to me in real time, calm, casual, from a moving car that was absolutely not going to the airport. That's when the anger hit. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that clears your head and sharpens your instincts. I grabbed my keys. The drive felt unreal, like I was watching myself from above. Red lights blurred. The radio played some stupid happy song that made me want to scream. I kept one eye on the road and one eye on the map. The dot stopped. Pulled over so fast the car behind me, HONKED. The location tag loaded. The Omni Hotel, a luxury hotel, 90 minutes from our house. A place we once talked about for an anniversary and decided was too expensive. I laughed. A short, broken sound. Of course I called them. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. Instead, I put the car back in drive. Halfway there, my brain tried to save me. Maybe he was meeting co-workers. Maybe the conference moved locations. Maybe I was wrong. Then I pulled into the parking lot and saw her car, red, Mazda dent on the rear bumper. License plate frame from the yoga studio. Sarah. My friend. Not my best friend, but close enough. Close enough to sit at my kitchen counter. Close enough to hug me when my dog died. Close enough to joke about how hard dating was and how she wished she could find a guy like Mark. My hands locked around the steering wheel. Everything clicked at once. The gym, the clothes, the bracelet, the phone, the lies. I didn't scream this time. I didn't cry. I sat there and let the betrayal sink all the way in until it hardened into something solid. Checked the app again. The dot was still inside the building. Good. I wasn't too late. Walking into that lobby felt like stepping into enemy territory. Marble floors, soft lighting, people are laughing, living their normal lives while mine was actively Went to the front desk first, heart pounding. I'm looking for my husband, I said, forcing a smile. It's Mark Stevens. I'm surprising him. The receptionist typed, paused. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't see that name. Of course, a swallow. What about Sarah Jenkins? The pause this time was longer. I'm afraid I can't give out guest information. But her eyes flicked to the screen. Confirmation. I thanked her and walked away before my legs gave out. I sat in the bar with a clear view of the elevators, ordered sparkling water. Didn't touch it. Everything felt like a gunshot. Time slowed to torture speed. I checked my phone. Still there. Same floor. Same spot. Then the elevator doors opened, and there they were. Laughing, relaxed, happy to husk. His hand rested on the small of her back like it belonged there. She was wearing a black dress and the gold bracelet caught the light as she moved. The one from the receipt. Something inside me went ice cold. I stood up, walking toward them. Felt like wading through concrete, but I didn't stop. I didn't hesitate. Hey, Mark, I said. He froze. Actually, I froze, like his brain short-circuited. How's Chicago? The color drained from his face so fast it was almost impressive. Sarah gasped, hand flying to her mouth, eyes darting between us. What are you? Are you here? He stammered. I smiled, not kindly. I followed you. The silence around us was loud. People were watching now. Phones out, whispers starting. I turned to Sarah. Nose bracelet. She looked down instinctively, like she'd forgotten it was there. Mark reached for my arm. Please, let's talk. Somewhere private. I stepped back. I pulled out my phone and showed him the map, the timestamp. You lied to me, I said calmly. You lied this morning. You lied last night. You lied for months. He opened his mouth. Don't, I said. This is over. I took a photo of them right there. Both of them. Together. For the lawyer. I added. Then I walked out. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Because the real damage, the kind that ruins lives, was only just beginning. And when he showed up at the house later that day, he was going to realize I wasn't there to forgive. If you're watching this story, tighten your blanket and hit the like button so YouTube understands you want the next chapter unlocked, and tell me in the comments, which beautiful country are you watching from and what's the exact time there right now? I beat him home by almost 2 hours. That gave me time to think, and that's dangerous. Because clarity turns into strategy real fast when you've been lied to long enough. The house felt different when I walked in, like it already knew, like it was done pretending everything was fine. I dropped my keys on the counter, stared at our wedding photo for a full 30 seconds, then turned it face down. I didn't cry. Not yet. I started moving. Closet first. I yanked his clothes off hangers and didn't fold a single thing. Shirts, pants, jackets straight into black garbage bags. Not gently. Not respectfully. Every zipper sounded like punctuation. Then the drawers, socks, belts, ties. I bought him watches he loved more than he ever loved me. Garage PlayStation, golf clubs, tool set. Everything he cared about but never really needed by the time I was done. His entire life was stacked by the garage door like trash waiting for pickup. My phone buzzed for the first time. Baby, please. We need to talk. I blocked him. Another buzz. Different numbers. You don't understand. Let me explain. Blocked. Then a voicemail from Sarah. I didn't listen. I deleted it without pressing play. Here's the thing about betrayal. People always think the confrontation is the hardest part. It's not. The hardest part is what comes after, when you decide whether you're going to break away or take control. I chose control. I called a locksmith when the guy showed up. I didn't give him the story, just said, I need the locks changed. Today. An hour later, my house was mine again. I sat on the couch and waited. At 12:47 p.m., his car pulled into the driveway. I watched through the window as he tried the key. Once, twice, confusion, then panic. He knocked. Hard opened the door. He shouted, "This is my house too." I didn't open it. I walked to the doorbell camera and spoke through it like he was a stranger. Your stuff is in the garage. I've contacted a lawyer. You are not welcome here. There was a long pause. Then his voice cracked. You can't do this. I smiled. I already did. He tried every tactic in the book. Anger, tears, bargaining. You're overreacting. It was a mistake. She meant nothing. You're embarrassing me. That last one almost made me laugh. I didn't respond. I just watched as the reality finally hit him, that the version of me who swallowed lies was gone. He left. And for the first time in months, I slept through the night. The next few weeks were ugly. Divorce paperwork, bank statements, discovery. Turns out he'd been hiding more than just hotel stays. There were dinners, gifts, weekend meetings, lies layered on lies like insulation. He tried to paint me as unstable, said tracking him was crazy. His lawyer actually used the phrase emotionally compromised. That's when my attorney slid the evidence across the table. GPS logs, timestamps, photos, messages, the bracelet receipt, silence. Here, single quotes, the mid-story twist. Nobody expects. The truth doesn't just free you, it protects you. Once the facts were out, his entire narrative collapsed. And then I decided I wasn't done. I sent one message to his mother. No insults, no explanation, just the photo. Mark isn't in Chicago. This is why we're divorcing. That was it. His family was old school. Reputation mattered. Marriage mattered. And now everyone knows. He called me screaming, "You ruined my life." I didn't raise my voice. "You did that," I said. "I just stopped covering for you." Sorry. Tried reaching out again. Long text. Talte, apology. Claimed she didn't know. It was serious. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Then I blocked her too. Here's what they never tell you about cheating scandals. Relationships born in secrecy rarely survive exposure. Once people knew, once the thrill disappeared, So did the fantasy. They lasted 6 months. 6. Meanwhile, I kept the house, got a fair settlement, and something else I didn't expect, peace. But the story doesn't end with closure, because 3 months after everything was finalized, when I thought the chapter was closed, I got a message that made my blood run cold. A woman I didn't know. Her first line said, "I think your ex-husband is lying to me too." And suddenly, I realized this wasn't just my story, it was a pattern. I almost didn't reply. The message sat on my screen for a full minute, glowing like a warning sign. "I think your ex-husband is lying to me too." For a second I wondered if this was some kind of trap. Mark had already tried to twist the narrative once told. People I was unstable, dramatic, obsessed. Reaching out to me through a stranger wouldn't have been beneath him. But then I clicked her profile. Normal woman, private account, no red flags. Replied with one sentence. "What makes you think that?" Her response came immediately. "He says he's going to a leadership retreat next weekend, but he won't tell me where. And his location keeps turning off." I laughed out loud. Same script. New victim. We moved to a Her voice shook when she spoke. She told me how attentive he'd been at first, how mature, how he said his divorce came out of nowhere, how he painted me as cold, distant, unreasonable. I filled in the gaps for her. The hotel, the bracelet, Chicago. She went quiet. Then she whispered, "Oh my God." That's when the idea hit me. Slow, dangerous, perfect. I didn't pitch revenge. I didn't say his name like a villain. I just told her the truth. And then I asked one question. "Do you want proof?" She said yes, without hesitation. The next weekend, he told her he'd be unreachable. Leadership retreat. No phones. Deep bonding. All lies. She shared her location with me, so I followed the dot, and there it was. Same hotel chain, different city, same pattern. I didn't go this time. I documented, screenshots, timestamps, his messages to her, his messages to me from months earlier, mirrored lies, word for word. When she confronted him, he denied everything. Until she showed him the evidence. He blocked her immediately, but it was too late because she wasn't the only one. She posted the story, anonymous, at first, then not. People recognized him, co-workers, friends, mutuals, the comments filled with, "Wait, he told me the same thing." Turns out, he wasn't just a cheater, he was serial. His job didn't love the attention, especially when clients started asking questions. He resigned 2 weeks later, and me. I sat on my couch, wine in hand, watching his carefully built life collapse without lifting a finger. That's the part no one talks about. Revenge doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like letting people meet the consequences you already escaped. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. Because Carmel has a sense of humor. 3 months after that, I ran into Sarah at the grocery store. She looked tired, older, like the shine had worn off. She didn't see me at first, then she did. She froze. I didn't say anything. I just smiled, calm, controlled. She rushed into words, apologies, excuses, tears. "I didn't know he was like that," she said. "He lied to me too." I nodded. "I know." She looked confused. "How?" I leaned in, just enough, because he never stopped. Her face crumpled, and for the first time since this all began, I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, just closure. I walked away. That night, I went home, poured a drink, and deleted the GPS app from my phone. I didn't need it anymore, because the real tracker, the one that mattered, was my gut, and it had been right all along. But before I could fully move on, before I could close the door on that chapter forever, I realized something terrifying. If I hadn't followed that if I hadn't trusted myself, I'd still be married to a lie. And that thought, that scared me more than any hotel hallway ever could. People keep asking me if I'm okay now, like there's a finish line you cross after betrayal where everything magically snaps back into place. Like healing is a checkbox you tick once the divorce papers are signed and the house is quiet again. The truth is, I'm better. And that scares me more than being broken ever did. Because when you survive something like that, you don't go back to who you were. You become sharper, quieter, harder to fool. For a long time, I blamed myself for missing the signs, for trusting too easily, for loving someone who turned out to be a stranger. But here's the twist. No one expects I wasn't naive. I was Loyola, and there's nothing weak about that. What almost destroyed me wasn't his affair. It was the gaslighting, the way he made me question my own reality. The way he looked me in the eyes and lied so smoothly I wondered if I was the problem. That kind of betrayal messes with your head long after the person is gone. But one night, months later, something shifted. I was on a date. First one in a while. Nothing serious, just coffee. The guy casually mentioned he had a work trip coming up and laughed about how boring it'd be, but it would be. My heart skipped. I didn't accuse him. I didn't panic. I just asked a question. What city? He answered without hesitation. Showed me the confirmation email. Made a joke about hotel breakfasts. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. Trust isn't about never being hurt. Again, it's about trusting yourself enough to walk away when something feels off. That's the part I gained. Mark tried to reach out one last time after everything blew up. New number, long message, said he'd hit rock bottom, said he'd missed me, said he'd finally changed. I didn't reply, because here's the real ending he never saw coming. I didn't need closure from him. I already had it. I sold the house, moved somewhere smaller, brighter, mine. I redecorated without compromise. I sleep diagonally across the bed. I leave the lights on if I want. I answer to no one. And sometimes, late at night, I think about that hotel hallway, about my hand hovering over that door, and I'm grateful I didn't knock, because knocking would have meant begging for the truth instead. I took it. If you're watching this and something in your life feels off, if your gut keeps whispering that a story doesn't add up, listen to it. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not too much. You're aware. And awareness is dangerous to people who survive on lies. So here's my question to you. And this is where I want you to be honest in the comments. Have you ever ignored a red flag because you loved someone? Or worse, because you were afraid of what you'd find? If this story hit close to home, hit like, not for me, for you. Because choosing yourself deserves acknowledgement. Subscribe if you want more real stories where the truth actually wins. And remember this. Sometimes the scariest door isn't the one hiding the lie. It's the one that opens when you finally stop lying to yourself. I'll see you in the next one. There's one more thing I haven't told you yet, because endings like this always look clean from the outside. Strong woman, fresh start, lessons learned, cue the inspirational music. But real life doesn't wrap itself up that neatly. A few weeks after I moved, I found an old box. While unpacking, photos, cards, notes he'd written me over the years, little moments frozen in time, proof that at some point the love had been real, or at least real to me. I sat on the floor and went through them one by one. And instead of sadness, something else hit me. Anger, not explosive anger, controlled anger, the kind that burns slow and steady. Because those memories weren't fake. I wasn't fake. The effort, the loyalty, the years I poured into that marriage, they were real. And realizing that meant something important. He didn't take my best years, but he wasted his chance to deserve them. That shift matters, because when you stop seeing yourself as the victim and start seeing yourself as the standard, everything changes. I stopped wondering why I wasn't enough. I started wondering why I ever settled. And that's when the regret hit him. Not the kind where someone misses you, the kind where they miss the version of themselves they had access to when they were with you. The stability, the image, the safety net. People like Mark don't regret the betrayal. They regret the consequences. I heard through me truths that he spiraled, jumped jobs, burned bridges, started telling people I was the one that got away. Like that somehow rewrote the ending. It didn't. Because here's the truth. No cheater wants to accept when someone sees you clearly. You never get to be mysterious again. You don't get a second version. You don't get a rewrite. You're just exposed. And exposure is fatal to lies. I've had people ask me if I'd ever warn the next woman directly. Step in and interfere. I don't. Because the warning already exists. His patterns, his history, his inability to stay honest when no one is watching. Eventually, the truth introduces itself. It always does. What I do talk about now is the moment before the proof. The moment where you're still unsure, still negotiating with yourself, still choosing comfort over clarity. That's the most dangerous moment of all, because that's where people lose years. I lost 10, and I refuse to lose another second. Pretending that was somehow my fault. If this story makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is where clarity starts. If it makes you angry, sit with that. Anger is information. And if it makes you feel seen, then you already know why I shared it. Because somewhere out there, someone is watching this with their phone face down on the table. Someone is replaying conversations in their head. Someone is telling themselves, I'm probably overthinking this. You're not. Your intuition isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition, and the moment you trust it, the moment you stop asking for permission to protect your peace, that's when everything changes. So before you click away, let me ask you one last thing. Really think about it. If you followed your gut today, what truth would it lead you to? Drop it in the comments. Or don't. Some realizations are private. Just don't ignore them, because lies survive on silence and clarity. Clarity ends stories like this for good. Thanks for staying till the end.